This is a four-part problem that takes a look at our inventory and our accounts receivable. And the first ratio we're going to put together for the years 2011 and 2012 will be the days sales uncollected. So for 2012, our days sales uncollected ratio will be our ending balance of accounts receivable for 2012, which is on our balance sheet, 88,559. And we're going to divide that by our 2012 sales of 660,054. That number will be multiplied times 365 days, and this will give us our number of days sales that we have that are not collected in this ending balance of receivables, which is 49 days. Now this 49 days, it's hard to say whether that's good or bad or not. Normally what you do in the real world is you take whatever your terms are. Like if you offer customers 30 days, you're supposed to add 15 days to that, and that would be a normal days sales uncollected. So 30 days plus 15 would be 45 days, if assuming that's what these people give. And that looks like that you're just a little bit higher than normal. You have a little bit more tied up in accounts receivable than you should, assuming this was a 30-day terms that they gave their customers. We really don't know what that is. But now let's take a look at the year 2011 for the same ratio. Again, you take the ending balance of accounts receivable for 2011, which is 62,504, and you divide that by the sales in 2011 of 520,865, and this fraction is then multiplied times 365 days, and you can tell now that since this is lower, it went from 43.8 to 2011 to 49 days in 2012, it looks like the percentage is getting larger, which means we're tying more of our dollars up in receivables. And that's clear by just looking at our jump in receivables from 2011 to 2012. So this could be a trend that could be a problem. So we'd have to look deeper into this. That's part one. Let's go on to part two now. And we're going to take a look at receivables in a different way. We're going to find out how quickly we're turning our receivables into cash. And the way to do that is to look at the accounts receivable turnover ratio. So for this ratio, for the year 2012, we're going to take our 2012 sales, which are 619,502, and we're going to divide that by the average of our 2012 accounts receivable. And the average will be the ending balance of 2011's accounts receivable, which is really the beginning balance of 2012, plus the ending balance of 2012's receivables, which would be 80,673. Add those two pieces together, then divide by 2 to get a simple average. And our 2012 accounts receivable turnover is going to be 9 times, which means that we have turned our receivables over, that is completely collected them in a full year 9 times. And we won't know if that's good or bad or not until we compare it with something in the past or some other industry average. So let's take a look at the 2011 accounts receivable turnover. For 2011, it's going to be the 2011 sales divided by the average of the 2011 and 2010 accounts receivable, because the ending balance in 2010 is the same thing as the beginning balance of 2011. So to get the average for 2011, you take the two together, add them together, and divide by 2. And it looks like the turnover in 2011 was 9.6 times. Well, it looks like our turnover has slipped a little bit. It's went from 9.6 times to 9 times even, which is a trend that's not favorable. Okay, so let's go on now to the third part of this problem, which deals with our inventory. How well are we doing with our inventory? So the first thing we'll look at is inventory turnover. And again, accounts receivable turnover and inventory turnover, higher is better. The faster you turn those things over and turn them into cash, the better the situation is. So the 2012 turnover looks like is the $348,251 worth of cost of goods sold. So the cost of goods sold for 2012 is then divided by the average of the inventory turnover for 2012, and the average would be the ending balance for 2011, which is the same thing as the beginning balance of 2012, plus the ending balance for 2012, add the two together, divide by 2, and then take this number and divide it into the cost of goods sold for 2012. Inventory turnover right now is 4.2 times, and again, we don't know if that's good, bad, or whatever until we look at an industry average or a competitor, or we might even compare it to a previous year's inventory turnover like we're about to, which is for 2011. So for 2011, we take the same cost of goods sold for 2011 down here and divide it by the average inventory for 2011, which would be the ending balance of 2010 plus the ending balance of 2011. And remember that ending balance for 2010 is the same thing as the beginning balance for 2011. Add those together, divide by 2, and then divide this number on the bottom into the cost of goods sold for 2011. And it looks like our turnover has slipped also. From 2011 it went from 5 to 4.2. So again, I don't know if this is enough to take action or not, but it looks like the trend is definitely unfavorable. Alright, our last part of this problem, part 4, we're dealing with days sales and inventory. And we have for 2012 we've got our days sales inventory is $87,436 worth of merchandise inventory. That's the ending balance of inventory, and that will be divided by the cost of goods sold, which is for 2012 is $329,077, and this fraction is multiplied times 365 days. And the result is for 2012 our days sales of inventory is 97. Now this ratio is a little trickier to make some kind of judgment on, because you want some inventory, but you don't want so much inventory that you're dusting it, or you're just watching it, let's say, become less valuable. So in this case, for this particular kind of company, I don't know what 97 days means. So it's hard to say if it's good or bad or getting better or getting worse. So let's take a look at the 2012 and kind of see what the difference between the two days sales inventory are. So for 2011, we've got our 64,858, which would be our ending balance for merchandise inventory for 2011, and we're going to divide this number by the cost of goods sold for 2011, which was 276,711, and this ending result is going to be multiplied by 365 days, and it looks like our days sales inventory for 2011 is 86 days. And once again, it's getting higher, but I don't know if this is better or worse because we don't know what's considered the sweet spot is for this. But all we can say is the trend is getting higher.